Beloved in Christ Jesus, when I read in the book of Galatians chapter 5 verse 1, where Apostle Paul was telling the church, was telling the brethren like this. Apostle Paul was speaking to the church, because if you start to read from Galatians 1, you begin to see the crisis, the difficulties that the church were experiencing. The church in Galatia were experiencing confusion, were experiencing disagreement. They were not they were not standing firm in the liberty that they have received in Christ. So when Apostle Paul came to them, he wrote this epistle to them in Galatians 5 verse 1. He says, stand fast therefore in the freedom that Christ has given to you, and be not entangled with the yoke of bondage again. Meaning that the freedom that Christ has set you free, call it faith. This is time for you to enjoy the freedom, the salvation that Jesus has given to you. This is the time for you to enjoy it, and do not go back to your old life. Do not go back to the pattern of the law. We all know the standard of the law. In the law, you must be circumcised. In the law, if you sin, you must die. And in Galatians, some of them were still practicing those laws. So Paul no longer need to operate in those laws. You no longer need to live by the laws of Moses to have a good standard with Christ. So Paul was telling the church, all you need to do now is to stand firm in the liberty, the freedom that Christ has given to you. What am I trying to say this evening? Every one of us, there is one or two things that is enslaving us down. Some of us have been addicted in one of two ways, and that thing has become so very strong, so very mighty in our life that sometimes if we don't do it, we cannot live. If we don't do it, we cannot feel all right. So things have become a yoke of bondage to us. So this evening, Jesus has put in my mind, has put in my heart to come and tell you that you should stand firm in the liberty that God has set you free, and do not be entangled, do not be enslaved by those things that is called the works of the flesh. When you read the book of Galatians, in the book of Galatians 5, he begins to analyze the works of the flesh. In verse 1 talks about that we should stand firm in the liberty that we have received in Christ. Then we begin to read down, he begins to talk about the works of the flesh. And what are the works of the flesh? A lot of things was mentioned there.